Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. Time for a SciDev update, focusing on the Appendix 4C for the September quarter. Now, for full disclosure purposes, I am a shareholder of this company. I've been a long-term shareholder of this company because I am very bullish about their future. Now, I'll try to leave my bias out of this, but I'll just briefly explain why I'm bullish about SciDev and their future, apart from the very impressive cash receipts growth over the past few years. Now, SciDev developed bespoke chemistries and engineering solutions for solids liquid separation and other water and wastewater treatment. Now, the last thing I want to say about SciDev is water is our most precious commodity, although you could argue sunshine is really precious. Some might argue children are our most precious commodity, but that's absolute BS because we could live 30, 50, 70 years without children, then we become extinct species. But we could only live 3 days without drinkable water. We could only live probably a few weeks without sunshine, and then Earth would become an unhospitable place to live. We'd probably have to go underground if we had no sunshine. So by far, water and sunshine are our most precious commodities. In fact, I think we underrate, particularly undervalue, both of those things. So that's one of the reasons I'm quite bullish about SciDev in the future. And this is the place to be because I think this sort of market will only expand over the next few decades. One of the impressive things about SciDev, and I'm trying to keep my bias out of this video, but I'm being unsuccessful. But one of the impressive things about SciDev is how many sectors or verticals they are doing work within. For instance, mining and mineral processing, $11.8 million of revenue in financial year 22 in that sector, and that's all about solids liquid separation. Addressable market is well above $2 billion. In the oil and gas, and this is their biggest sector, $27.8 million of revenue in financial year 22. It's all about recycling, reusing, and minimizing oil-filled water waste. I won't talk about infrastructure and construction because they only received $200,000 of revenue in that sector. Water treatment, $6.1 million of revenue, and it does have a fairly high addressable market, over $6 billion US dollars there. So this is all about water treatment plants. So they work with water treatment plants for nutrient, heavy metal, and organic pollutant removal, and also PFAS treatment. $9.5 million in revenue there, with addressable market of over $6 billion. So a good way to look at SciDev is they are working all these different sectors. And all these sectors, when you look at the revenue, they are growing apart from that infrastructure and construction, but they only have $200,000 of revenue. So really the only way for that sector is to go up from here. Now, onto a few facts in regards to SciDev. This company was founded in 2001. Now, they didn't really list on in May 2002 because there was another company called Intech. And then Intech, whatever they were doing was not that successful. Then Intech bought 50% of SciDev in 2013 and then bought the other 50% in February 2017. So Intech pivoted from whatever they were doing and realized that SciDev was the way to go forward. So really, SciDev has been on the ASX for about 5.5 years. Current CEO is Sean Halpern. I believe he's still the CEO. I should check on that because I haven't actually updated that for a while. Shareholders, perennial value, 15%, and Australian super, 8.6%. The current market of SciDev is only 51 million. That's a share price of 26 cents. About a year ago, the share price of this company was above $1. So maybe you could argue at a market cap of about $200 million, SciDev was overvalued. But I think at $51 million, particularly with the growth in this company, I think we could argue and quite successfully argue that SciDev right now is undervalued. And the ticker for SciDev is SDV. Now, one thing I like to see for all companies is just where, in terms of geography, their revenue is derived. Is this company that is only doing business in Australia, or is this a global company? So they have what they call a disaggregation of revenue here based off geography. And they have two main geographies where they derive their revenue, and that's Australia and United States. But they are seeing a bit of growth in Europe, very small growth, and a bit of growth in Asia as well. And it does look like, even though Australia has been their largest market so far, it does look like the United States will overtake Australia in financial year 23, just based off the growth in revenue from financial year 21 to financial year 22. The United States is only $1 million behind Australia right now, but definitely the greatest growth is in the United States. And that's not a bad thing because more than likely, most of their market is in the United States, probably in Canada, Australia as well, maybe Brazil as well. So no sign of here that they have gone into South America in Brazil, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of mining in Brazil. Anyway, this is a good thing. This is a global company. They are gaining traction around the world. Now onto the company's September quarter results. And there are a few things I'm looking for here. Receipts from customers, and I want to know if the company is operating cash flow or free cash flow positive. Receipts from customers, 23.7 million, which might be a record quarter for the company. We'll have a look at that in the next slide where we look at the cash receipts history. Now, you might laugh at this, but the company was operating cash flow positive by $11,000. Now, one of the worst things when it comes to Appendix 4Cs and Appendix 5Bs is you do only have a look at the operating cash flow, also the financial cash flow, so cash flow from financing activities, cash flow from investing activities, but you don't have any insight unless the company provides it into changes in working capital. And this can be quite significant for some companies. So changes in working capital include inventories, changes in trade payables, or trade receivables. But fortunately, SciDev did give us some information to why or how the operating cash flow could have been greater because of something they did in this particular quarter. So in their commentary, they just mentioned here, the company reported a break-even cash flow from operations, but operating cash flow was negatively impacted by extended credit terms granted in the quarter to a new Tier 1 E&P energy service client. The working capital impacts, so changes in working capital, if normalized, would have improved cash flow from operations during the quarter by approximately $2 million. So that changes in working capital was just around trade receivables. So trade receivables was up, say, about $2 million. And an increase in trade receivables is a cash outflow. That's exactly what they're saying here. And if that didn't happen, the operating cash flow would have been about $2 million. Now, the cash on hand actually did drop during the quarter from 14.1 million to 12.4 million. The reason behind the drop in cash flow, or not cash flow, behind the cash on hand was because they spent $920,000 on capital expenditure and $630,000 in debt repayments. Right now, they do have $2.2 million of debt, but they are net cash by over $10 million, and that's very important. So you could say the enterprise value of this company is just above $40 million, which makes SciDev actually a little bit cheaper than we might have viewed it if we just looked at markup. So it's even more exciting that this company looks looking really cheap based off enterprise value. And it's still trying to keep my bias out of it, but I do think this company is looking cheap right now. Another thing SciDev includes in their Appendix 4C is just the growth in revenue of their different verticals. So they're looking at the previous corresponding period and also the previous quarter. Now, they do have a percentage change versus previous corresponding period, but I believe that should be percentage change versus previous quarter because they've got 148% for mining and mineral processing. But if you look at the previous corresponding period, it went from 3.4 million to 6.7 million, which is just less than 100%. But if you look at the last quarter, 2.7 million to 6.7 million, which is about 148%. Also look at energy services. Based off the previous quarter, went from 11.7 million to 14.7 million, which is 26%. If they were doing the percentage change versus previous corresponding period, it would have been well above 200% because it went from $4 million to $14.7 million. And water treatment has increased from 2.9 million in the previous corresponding to 4.1 million. And overall revenue has increased from 10.4 million to 25.6 million, which is not 40%, it's more like 150%. But the main thing here is that revenue is growing, and it's growing for most verticals over the past year and also over the past quarter. Now onto the very exciting receipts history for SciDev, and this is very exciting because we have seen significant growth in receipts for this company over the past 3 years. If we go back 3 years ago to the September quarter 2019, they had $1.5 million of revenue. Now it's up to 23.7, and it's even though it's not consistent growth. So we do see a few quarters where revenue does pull back or receipts does pull back, but it doesn't stay pulled back for very long. We saw a decrease in receipts in two consecutive quarters from 14.7 million to 9.8 million. And I think that spooked the market because that is when we started to see the share price of this company take a massive hit. But since that low point in cash receipts of $9.8 million in the December quarter, 1 year ago, receipts have more than doubled from 9.8 million to 23.7 million. Now, the next thing I want to see from SciDev, apart from a continued increase in receipts, is some scale. So I want to see this increase in receipts, this increase in revenue fall to the bottom line. So I don't want to see a continued sort of similar increase in spending. I want to see an increase in cash flow, operating cash flow, increase in free cash flow, increase in profitability. And I think if SciDev show that to the market, that's when we're going to see a significant re-rating in this company's share price. But the market wants to see that. And that's another reason I think the share price has taken a hit over the past year, is because even though the market is seeing this really impressive increase in receipts and revenue, it's not really translating to the bottom line just yet. Now to the charts for SciDev. First chart here is just the weekly chart going back to 2016, and from about the middle of 2016 or start of 2016 all the way through to the middle of 2019, share price of this company went sideways. But if you remember the cash receipts, that's a period where cash receipts were doing nothing. It wasn't until 2019 where we started to see an increase in cash receipts, and that coincides with a re-rating in the share price of this company. In fact, the share price went from about 6 cents or so all the way to a high of 94 cents in about, say, 9 months of trading. Then we had COVID-19, but it was a short-term hit to the share price, and then we saw the share price keep on going up. It reached a high of about $1.06 back at the start of 2021, and then the share price started to fall. It fell all the way down to 19 cents back a few months ago, maybe about 5 or 6 months ago, but the share price has started to rebound. So let's have a look at the daily chart right now, just to see if the share price is now or has now moved into an uptrend. So the share price, based off the daily chart, was in a well-defined downtrend for about a year. So this is the chart for SciDev going back to October of 2021. So back in October 2021, the share price of this company was around about 75 to 77.5 cents, and the share price was in that downtrend, or started in its downtrend, and the downtrend continued from October, November last year all the way through to July of this year, where we saw the share price decrease about 75%. But the share price has started to recover, and I think the downtrend has come to an end, even though the moving averages the longer-term moving average is still going down, so the share price has struggled to get above that 100-day moving average, but definitely we have seen the shorter-term moving average, the 50-day moving average, starting to move up. What I want to see is the share price get above 35 cents. That is the highs we saw back in August of this year, and if we see the share price get to that new high, that would be a bullish move. But if we see the share price fall below 25 cents, and right now it's around about 26 cents, that would be a bearish move. And I would be more willing to take advantage of any depreciation in the share price moving forward, particularly if the company keeps on releasing really good quarterly reports, if the company keeps improving the cash receipts or increasing the cash receipts. And better yet, I'd like to see the operating cash flow and the free cash flow of this company increase. I'd like to see this company become highly profitable. And I think that future is definitely there, potentially there, over the next few years. So I do think, again, there is some value for this company right now. That's all I have for this look at SciDev's Appendix 4C September quarter, financial year 23. Not financial year 22, financial year 23. Now, I've tried to leave my bias out of this video, but I've probably been a little bit unsuccessful in doing that. But it is hard to leave your bias when you are fairly bullish on a company. I am fairly bullish, quite bullish on the future of SciDev. But if you think I am completely wrong, if you are a bear on SciDev, I'd love to hear your opinion on why, because that's how we learn as investors, to take a different approach, a different opinion, and just listen to that different opinion, because that different opinion could be right. I could be completely wrong on SciDev. Maybe this company is absolutely crap. Maybe it's an absolute dog stock. And I'd love to hear reasoning why you are a bear on the future of SciDev. So leave those opinions in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.